देखो एज का है वो, तो मेरे को मैं भी वैसी हूँ। So, age issue.
Very good afternoon, dear friends. Honorable State Minister of Education, Maldives, and Head of NIE, Dr. Abdullah Rahman Ahmad, and Dr. Fushid Majid, Training Coordinator of entire this program from NIE Maldives, Professor Madhu Parar, Director SEMCA, esteemed experts for this workshop, Professor Santosh Panda and Dr. G. Maithili from Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi, India, and all the esteemed teachers and teacher educators who are participating in this 3-day training program. I am Dr. Manas Ranjan Panigrahi from Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, New Delhi, and welcoming you all to this training program. Before going to all the proceedings, let me just introduce, in response to needs expressed by the Commonwealth countries of the Asian region for a more effective utilization of resources for distance education, the Commonwealth of Learning Canada established Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, and in the year 1994. This is an intergovernmental organization assisting governments and institutions to expand the scale and quality of learning by using multiple media in open, distance, and technology-enabled learning. I am happy that and congratulate to Maldives Ministry of Education and NIE join hands with the Commonwealth countries, with Commonwealth of Learning become a member. Earlier they were member, for the time being it was the pause, and join back. I welcome you all. Looking into the genesis of this activity, which we faced in the COVID-19 pandemic, has imposed multifarious challenges before the conventional and ODL educational, higher and teacher education institutions and schools across the globe. The learners face difficulty to access the learning materials, reach their instructors and various stakeholders of the institution and education. The situation is more prominent for teacher education institutions and schools where large number of learners belonging to different socio-cultural backgrounds are under study. The learners are living in different atolls in Maldives, and varied geographical and facing physical challenges to reaching to different institutions and schools at a time during this particular pandemic period. And if you look into the present scenario, it compiles the educational institutions, means teacher education institutions as well as schools, to reach and adopt innovative ways to reach their learners. For this, we all agree technology is a solution to address many of those challenges. There are various user-friendly technologies that could be adopted to teach and reach the learners. Considering this, SIMCA and National Institute of Education Maldives organizing 3-day online capacity building program on development of online courses which can be facilitated to the learner, moving to reaching easily and providing better access to the learner in their learning. So it starts from today and continue up to 10th September, means day after tomorrow, and further it will goes on for exploring the technologies and using the technologies to reaching to our learners. In this workshop, more than 500 teachers and teacher educators working under Ministry of Education, Maldives are participating. With this, now I would like to invite, I think Dr. Hussein Majid may be joined. He may welcome to the all the participants and extend his welcome address.
Okay, Dr. Manas, I think he has little issue in joining. Yeah, someone will be inviting him. Yeah. So meanwhile, maybe I'll just continue with this. Thank you so much, Dr. Manas. Yeah. Respected Dr. Abdullah Rashid, the State Minister of Education and Head of NI Maldives, all my colleagues from NI, all my colleagues, the school teachers who have joined this 3-day training program, my 2 experts, the resource person for this 3-day training program, my colleagues in SEMCA, I, on behalf of, personal behalf and behalf of SEMCA, I welcome all of you. So Dr. Manas has already briefed about Commonwealth of Learning and SEMCA, but just 1 or 2 more lines I'll add. SEMCA works with 8 Commonwealth countries and Maldives is one of them. As I was discussing with Dr. Manas about this program and came to know, Dr. Manas has visited Maldives in 2018 and he conducted a program there. But after that, due to some reason, we couldn't conduct training programs or we couldn't collaborate with Maldives in our activities. And as I was sharing with Dr. Abdullah, our focal point member from Maldives is Mr. Ahmed Masoom from the Ministry of Education. So now coming to the 2 points, what SEMCA does is very brief. We work in 2 initiatives, education and the skill sector. Now, all of you know Maldives very well, but the point which maybe I would say that all of you have beautiful 1,200 small coral islands and the 2/3 of the school age population. So that is a less number, I think. 2/3 of the school age population is enrolled in the school. So we need to think, I'm sure government of Maldives is looking after that. Like all other countries, when I was going through the internet search, because I wanted to understand the education system in the Maldives. So when I was looking at the internet and the documents, came to know that Maldives already has an action plan in the education sector, like all other countries. And their education strategic plan 2014-18 underlines few points. I mean, I will not elaborate, but just speak out 2-3 points which are relevant to our program. One is, it says, the strategic plan says promote open learning and flexible learning methods. Dr. Abdullah knows much better. The second important point, the strategic plan of Maldives says that train all teachers in ICT literacy and ICT pedagogy. That's another very important aspect which the strategic plan has highlighted. And the last which I just want to highlight is that different schools there in Maldives, they are adopting different technological tools. So, so that the community is participating. So I am sure all of you are aware of the technological tools there in Maldives and you have abundance of knowledge already. What we will be doing it maybe enhance that. Last and not the least, I mean, if I say so, the master plan for higher education in Maldives, all of you know that is 2017 and 22 master plan. It says that 60% of GR in higher education, a very a target and a very good target. I know Maldives is a small country as compared to India, where we have only targeted 50% of the GER. So I think Maldives has a very a big target, and I'm sure they are going to achieve the 60% GER in higher education. Coming to the just the last point, before this COVID-19, Maldives already had this online education. And all of you know, almost more than 80% of the students, I think, they have tablets at home. So that's an amazing point, which I came to know when I was just going through the internet search that what is the education system in Maldives. There is a government online education repository platform, which is called Phila. And I went through that repository also. Several videos are there and very well made videos. I must say that. They have this NIE website, they have videos which are relevant to the school education. So once this lockdown started in the month of March, all countries started embracing technologies. Even Maldives started embracing the digital technologies, which they already had earlier. But due to the geographical spread of your country and the far-flung islands, that become little more, I think, the response was there. So, but you need to have a specific responses. Now, after the grade 9 students also, they are undergoing online classes. What the present situation, as the internet search says regarding the Maldives education, after grade 9, the Ministry of Education, they are continuing online programs. And because the students are, some of the students are still in quarantine, and they are availing the isolation facilities. So with this, I just thought this is the scenario. Hussain and NIE started this initiative under the leadership of Dr. So this is a beginning, a collaboration between SEMCA and Maldives, especially NI and the Ministry of Education. We will be continuing this. This is just a 3-day training program, and we will see how we take it forward. With this, I wish each one of you happy learning and hope you will be enjoying our 3 days. I will be introducing my 2 colleagues, Professor Santosh Panda and Dr. G. Maitri, little later, because we want to have to listen to Dr. Abdullah. And if Mr. Hussain has joined, we will listen to him first and then Dr. Abdullah. Thank you so much, and once again, we welcome you.
Thank you very much, Professor Madhuparar, and for your very brief and some of the initiatives of the Maldives and their strategic plan and other things. Very much informative, and as I know, all of our participants, they know also these things. Thank you very much for your enlightening and talking about the need of this workshop. I am really delighted to invite now Honorable State Minister of Education, Maldives, and Head of the National Institute of Education, Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmad, to deliver inaugural address. Dr. Abdullah Rashid.
Dr. Madhu and Dr. Manas and Professor Panda and other distinguished colleagues from SEMCA, teachers and my colleagues and everyone else joined from Ministry of Education and National Institute of Education, and we have SMT members from Ministry of Education and National Institute of Education. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. It's a great pleasure and honor to say a few words in this online inaugural event. I can say today is the right day to start such a thing because today is International Literacy Day. So before I proceed, let me welcome and congratulate to you all on this auspicious day of International Literacy Day. The whole world is celebrating International Literacy Day. So I should say a few words regarding in this aspect. According to UNESCO, this year's
safe drive mode
everyone please keep your mic mute. According to UNESCO, this year's theme for International Literacy Day is teaching and learning literacy during and after COVID-19. When we talk about literacy, literacy has a very broad meaning than the past. At present, literacy has the meaning of functional literacy. So this means anybody regarding the person's work and what are the functions, what are the duties and responsibilities, we should be literate regarding what we do. So in 21st century is considered as age of technology, age of ICT, age of knowledge. Therefore, in 21st century, when we define literacy, that includes literacy in ICT, literacy in digital and communication technology. Therefore, if we are not literate in ICT, then in 21st century, we will not be considered as literate people. Therefore, I can say we are starting this on a very right day. I thank SEMCA on behalf of our Minister and Ministry of Education and NI for this initiative. You are very generous and you are very kind. This is the right help on the right time. We are in a great need to provide this training to our teachers. COVID-19 occurred suddenly. No country is ready. No institution is ready in this type of situation. So suddenly this happened, and like 180 countries in the world with 1.6 billion students were forced to close down at home. So the situation forced to go online and teach in virtual. Same goes to Maldives. As Dr. Madhu has mentioned, students from grade 3 to 12 in the Maldives is device, and free internet is provided for each student, but limited, that is 5 GB. And for each teacher, 10 GB free internet is provided, which is not enough, of course. But the point is, to a certain amount, the facilities are there. So what is lacking is the right pedagogy, the technical knowledge. So that is why I'm repeatedly saying this is the right initiative in the right time. So we really thank SEMCA, especially Professor Madhu and Dr. Manas and everyone who has been communicating Mr. Majid for long period of time, and so many communication. I'm there in the loop, so I know how much effort you have put to make this possible. So in this opportunity, I should thank all the principals who are always very supportive. For this training, we have given limited opportunity for each school, so principals are very, very kind leaving the teachers for this training. The participants, congratulations for getting a wonderful opportunity. I'm sure within these 3 days, you can sharpen your saw. Without sharpening your saw, definitely you cannot discharge your duties smoothly and effectively. We should be lifelong learners, especially being a teacher means a lifelong learner, because knowledge is changing, technology is changing, so we have to update ourselves. So I humbly request everyone, please pay 100% attention in the session, and your attendance is important and your punctuality is very important. I'm sure now you already have the agenda and the different sessions which has been scheduled for these 3 days. So your participation, active participation in all the sessions are very important. That makes this initiative a success. Without your active participation and without your punctuality, otherwise we cannot make this a great success. And we are expecting much more collaboration with SEMCA. As my colleagues has mentioned, there was a break due to the change in the policy. But again, we are glad that we are connected. We are part of Commonwealth. So as much as possible, we are ready to collaborate with SEMCA and provide more opportunities for our teachers. Not only our teachers, even general public. As Dr. Madhu has mentioned, non-formal education is a part of NIE responsibility. We have a separate department for non-formal education. Even today, International Literacy Day is coordinated and organized by our non-formal education department. I'm not going to take much time, but before concluding, once again, let me thank all the distinguished members from SEMCA and the facilitators who are so generous and kind, ready to provide.
Hey, can you bring
and share
stapler?
your knowledge and expertise to our teachers.
Stapler.
Once again,
Set.
Dr. Manas, can you please unmute his mic?
Yeah, I'm trying. It is muted actually. Oh no, I'm unable to do.
Dr. Abdullah, by chance your mic has been muted. Please, if you can unmute it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe as some participants' mics unmute and the technical people have unmuted. Sorry, thank you for reminding. So I'm going to conclude. Before concluding, I just want to thank you all from SEMCA. And as I said, we are ready to collaborate as much as possible to provide much more advantage to the teachers and our community. And the for teachers, those who are participating from each schools, you have a responsibility to do the same training to the teachers in your school. So this is just like a TOT, training the trainers. So I just want to bring this attention of the facilitators. So please keep in mind, these teachers, they will conduct the training to the teachers back in their school. Therefore, the trainers should be very attentive, take all the notes, and get ready to be a facilitator to the teachers in your school. In order to do this, if you have any difficulty, I'm sure Majid and SEMCA members will help you to conduct the same training to the teachers in your school, because just train in 4 teachers or 5 teachers in one school will not help the rest of the students or rest of the teachers to provide online training. Therefore, we want you to do this huge responsibility to the rest of the teachers in your school. With this, I conclude. Once again, greeting and best wishes on the occasion of International Literacy Day. I call upon all of us, including myself, to be lifelong learners. Don't assume that we know everything under the sun. There is nothing we don't learn. I'm sure we all need to be lifelong learners. Thank you and have a very safe and good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, for your kind words. Definitely, we'll see there will be a collaboration. This is just an initial first 3 days. We will be connecting with each other. We are connected through WhatsApp also. So whenever the teachers, they have any difficulty, they can ask. But in future, yes, because it's a skill, we are talking about the digital technology. This is a skill. We will be conducting programs school-based so that all teachers are trained. I can see Mr. Hussain is there, but before that, I would like to introduce my senior resource person, Professor Santosh Panda. It's a very brief because I want to introduce him before Dr. Abdullah. He is a professor in Staff Training and Research Institute, Indira Gandhi National Open University, one of the biggest, largest, I must say, open universities. A very brief introduction. He was former chairman, National Council of Teacher Education, like NI in Maldives, I guess so. He is a Fulbright scholar. He has headed Staff Training Research Institute of Distance Education. He was director for Center for Flexible Learning, University of South Pacific in Fiji. He has lots of positions. I will not get into the detail because when you will listen to him, you will understand. Last point, lots of publication, and his very recent publication just 10 days back is on the technology enhanced learning, policy, pedagogy, and practice. That's his very recent publication, which has come out from Commonwealth of Learning. So before we get into, I will request just Mr. Hussain, because he was in continuous communication with all of us. So if he has a few words to share before we invite Professor Panda.
Thank you, Professor Madhu. Of course, we have been communicating for a long time. Our state minister has also highlighted that. Let me just say how actually this came into a reality. Myself and Professor Madhu, if I'm correct, were on global something, right?
Yeah.
One of those webinars. And then after the webinar, I wasn't noticing anything about her. But then she approached me and then said, would you like, we are offering these kinds of training. This is actually how their initiative, it is very much from their side this has started. So as our state minister has said, we are very thankful for in arranging this. And we are hoping that the continuation will come in with this. And of course, I couldn't join at the starting because there was a problem. Still, I couldn't use my laptop. So I'm using PC without camera. So you can't see me, right? But of course, maybe tomorrow I'll join. I would like to, of course, those has gone, but welcome all the participants. Of course, there are a lot of communications going on with us. And those who are actually helping to make this happen on my side are the TRC coordinators who are in my unit, in my department working with me. They have done a lot of work and they are still going on. Even now I have received messages and all those things, but of course I couldn't attend them after this started. So I would like to say that this opportunity has been highlighted by the state minister is something that I see as an initiative from the KEMCA, and this will continue is what we are expecting, and that this is going to be fruitful. And this fruit should be taken by the participants into their school and then plant it there so that the plant grows and then it gives actually fruits to the school, which means we are looking, of course, everything to go up to the students. Okay, that's our aim. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain, for those kind words. Yes, definitely. It's a very good initiative. You were so responsive. Like immediately within 2 minutes, I used to get your mail. So that's something unusual and great, I must say that. And it's very appreciative. Now, to begin with, I'll just brief what we are going to do. Today, we are just going to have a session from Professor Panda about instructional design in online learning. I know this maybe that will be a little, what should I say, theoretical, but we, the teachers, because all of us, we belong to the education sector, we need to learn what instructional design involves in online learning. So that's very, very important. So from tomorrow, we will be doing the Google Classroom, which all of you are doing it with your school, the Google Suite tools, and of course, the Canvas as a platform. Many things you must be knowing, but we will try to brush that up and see how we enhance our learning. And as we said earlier, we will be doing it in a greater form training programs once this 3 days is over. So just to brief, I have already briefed about Professor Panda. You yourself will know the scholarship he has. I will not take much time because we need to get into the business of our training program. But just initially, I will share 2, 3, 4 slides, and then I'll request Professor Panda to take the session. Manas, you have blocked the sharing part of it. So if you can please do that for my slides.
Let me do that.
Can you put it on slideshow? Yeah.
Yeah.
So friends, this is just a beautiful Maldives. Wish we could come to Maldives, but definitely we will be seeing the beautiful country, the seashore in Maldives next Manas. Can you push that?
Yeah.
I will be very brief, so just keep pushing it. Manas, go ahead. Yeah, so very important what we are going to do. What is pedagogy and what is classroom pedagogy? What is digital pedagogy? Pedagogy, as I'm sure, because all of us, we belong to the education sector, we know what pedagogy is. We all must be knowing what classroom pedagogy is. And now everyone is starting because of the post, not only on the post-COVID, but before COVID also, we are talking about the digital pedagogy. I will not get into the detail of it. Maybe Professor Panda is doing, but I'm sure this is a brief thing. Manas, next one. So there are 3 terms. I will just repeat it: pedagogy, andragogy, and geragogy. Pedagogy is used world over, and which is an art and science of teaching learning. Andragogy, we are talking about the learning, teaching and learning of the adults. And I think this implies to all of us, because all of us, we are adult learners, and we need to see how we are treating our adult learners. So as teachers, this is very important. And the last science which we are talking about is the geragogy, which is how the older people, they learn. I will not, as I said, I will not get into the details of it, but just a brushing up of what the pedagogy as such is all about. Okay, go ahead, Manas, please. Manas, next slide. So pedagogy, as all of you know, and someone has written on the chat also, it is the science of teaching learning. Most important point which I want to highlight is it is science of teaching learning which will lead to learning. That is the learning outcomes. And all countries, and I know about India, and I'm sure even in Maldives, we are emphasizing on the learning outcomes. Minus next slide. So what is the science of teaching learning? To be very, if I have to be very brief about the science of the teaching learning, from where do we start? We start with the cognitive construct, which leads to the next important point, the gathering of information. The last is knowledge formation, and is the next is what it is called is the, okay, we will just come to it, that the knowledge processing, and the last is the subsumption or the knowledge attainment part of it. Now, what is the cognitive construct? Is the assessing or understanding the existing knowledge. For example, all of you know about pedagogy. All of you know about the Google Classroom. All of you know about the G Suite. What we are going to do, Manas, next, the previous slide, please. Manas, previous slide. Yeah. So what it is, cognitive construct is basically the first stage of learning where you already have a stock of knowledge. And the stock of knowledge is not only the cognitive stock of knowledge, but it is also the affective side, that is the attitudes, behaviors, and so on. The second part is on, if you see on your screens, it is gathering information. So for example, like what you will be doing in the next today, tomorrow, and day after, you will be collecting information from the experts and from your own peer group. So what you are doing is you are collecting facts, you are collecting concepts, your procedures and principles, and which you think, which I'm sure, which already you know, the Bloom's revised taxonomy, which is the Anderson's taxonomy. The third is the information knowledge formation, which is what you will do. You will reflect on what we are going to talk about it. You will do the activities, and the last will be, it will be problem solving. And the last, when we say the knowledge attainment is the last part, which is the subsumption of the previous three parts, like which is updating the cognitive construct, and which is the evidence of knowledge, and which will lead to the learning outcomes. This is very brief about how do we do science of teaching learning. My last slide will be Manas, next slide. The last slide is what is the classroom or the digital pedagogy. All of you as teachers, you know what the classroom pedagogy is. Now suddenly, because the online thing, we are getting into the digital pedagogy. So these are, if you see it on your screen, there are various points, like there are various approaches. Even in the classroom you do the behaviorism, the cognitivism, constructivism, social constructivism. Then you have the strategies, what you are going to use in the classroom. And if you compare with the digital online, if you see it, you will see in a classroom, we do lecture. Most of the time teachers do lecture, which is basically a behaviorist or an instructivist pedagogy. You do cooperative learning when you give projects or research for exploration. What you are doing, that is a science of constructivism. So that is another approach, that is a pedagogy. If we talk about the content can be in the classroom. What we are doing it is basically lecturing or the textual material. In digital also you have text, you have multimedia, you have your open education resources, and so on. The assessment part is another area which is very important part of a pedagogy, that is a formative assessment and the summative assessment. I will leave all these things here because I know Professor Panna is going to talk about it. And mine is the next and maybe the last slide, which will be there. The pedagogy now, if we talk about, is for 4 points. Now, blended learning. What will be the pedagogy for blended learning? What will be the pedagogy for MOOCs? Like for, if all of you must have taken the courses from Future Learn or edX or Coursera and so on. So what is the pedagogy there? What is the pedagogy of Google Classroom? Is it same as MOOC? Is it same as blended learning? Is it different from the classroom? And these days, like the picture which shows at the top of it is the online training programs or online classes. So is all these different pedagogy we are saying, or is pedagogy overlapping? And I have been given what is the pedagogy involved in the learning management system. Like some institutions, they use Moodle. Your institution, NI, is using Canvas. Is there a different pedagogy there? So that's what we are going to say. And that's what in the last slide I say. Manas, can we have the next slide? Manas, the next slide. So now let's learn from Professor Panda. What will be the instructional design for specifically an online learning, whether it is a training program or it is online classes or whether it is online programs, that will what we will be learning. With this, I will just end up my small presentation just to make a base of it. Now I request Professor Santosh Panda to take the session further. I have already introduced Professor Panda. One can go and see Professor Panda's website, or one can just Google Professor Panda. Just Google name and you will see what lot of work he has done, not only in the education sector, but now he has started into the technology aspect. Professor Panda, over to you. Manis, is Professor Panda there?
Yeah.
Maithili, how to share?
Yeah. Now it is coming.
मैंने प्रेस कर दिया शेयर स्क्रीन.
Yeah.
न्यू शेयर presentation. प्रेजेंटेशन ओपन करना है.
Professor Panda, Manas can share the slides he has.
हाँ, ओपन कर दिया. फिर
You can go to Sanka Maldives, yeah.
Now it is open. Yeah. You done, Professor Panda? Yeah, you done.
Sure. Okay.
Professor Panda, welcome to this.
Friends. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, friends. Honorable Minister Dr. Rashid Ahmed, Dr. Hussain, Professor Farhar, Director, SEMCA, Dr. Panigrahi, Senior Program Officer, and all my 562 colleagues who have joined. This is mind-boggling, 562 for the first time I am addressing online, courtesy SEMCA and our dynamic leaders there. So friends, so without wasting time, because I was given 12:30 to 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock I had fixed something else, but very quickly, what Professor Parhar presented, I will link to that and take off from there. So, how to move the screen? Next slide. Next slide.
You can use your down arrow key.
Yes, sir.
You can use your down arrow key. Professor Panda? Yeah, you can use your down arrow key. It will go. Still it is not going. You can click on the slide.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Maithili. Thank you, friends. What you see on your screen, you have to see the screen more and listen to me rather than look at me, you see. So what I have listed here, whether you are teaching face-to-face, distance, online, or blended, these 5 most important activities you need to perform. We all do, whether it is within the classroom, at a distance, online, or blended. These are the core activities that we need to carry forward in our teaching learning. First is, and these all we will consider in the instructional design or design of your curriculum and designing of teaching learning strategies. First is transmission, how you'd like to provide information to your students. The information, concepts, the interpretations, meanings, and so on and so forth. The second is that we need to interact. Interact because we need to learn from each other, learn from the teacher, and also learn from each other and start negotiating our meaning because we have our respective understanding. Even twins learn very differently. Two individuals look at the same teaching learning differently. They learn differently, but they learn the same thing. So we need to share our experience of learning. This is the second point that we need to do. 3, that we need to collaborate. Collaborate to do tasks, collaborate to share our values, collaborate to respect each other. This is very important in teaching and learning. In adult learning, we all are equal, and therefore we need to share our values, our respects. 4th, whatever we learn, Professor Parhar presented, that we need to reflect. Unless we reflect on that, this is a higher order learning, which is called a meta-learning or meta-cognitive learning. That we need to reflect on what is being studied by us, what is being taught by the teacher, what is being discussed among us, the activities that we are engaging, and so on and so forth, formal as well as informal. I will discuss this as a case study of our online program, that how formal and informal this can take place. And finally, we need to experience that. Once we experience that, that forms part of our cognitive structure. This is what is called assimilation. This is what Professor Parhar said, knowledge attainment. So let me go a step further. On the screen, you see a picturization of the development of open and distance learning till what is called online and blended learning today. Almost 1880s, we started with the first generation distance education with correspondence courses. We went to the second generation when open universities were established, when openness came into picture, open learning came into picture, open education, because we need to remove the constraints to entry or access to teaching and learning, and open learning because we want to provide individualized pathways for each student to learn most effectively. We reach the third generation. Third generation is all about support. That when we are teaching learning at a distance, we must be supporting each other, and there must be a centralized organization which must provide technological support, academic support, personal support, and so on and so forth. We reached a stage towards 1990s where convergence took place. Convergence of 3 technological developments. 1, broadcasting. 2nd, telecommunication. And 3rd, computing. All the 3 converge together in the cloud platform, as well as, because cloud, you cannot catch it. You can only access it. but what you can catch is your mobile phone. Your mobile phone today, it has a convergence of 3 technological developments in a cloud world. I repeat, broadcasting, telecommunication, conferencing, etc., broadcasting, radio and television, and third, computing, all put together is in our mobile phone. And all the three, we need to join together from the media side to ensure that our teaching learning is integrated, because in the online platform, everything is integrated. In the traditional correspondence education and distance education, it was not as much integrated as it is on the web today. So web provides the facility to integrate, and therefore from here, 1990s, the actual convergence started. When the actual convergence started, a few developments took place that we will discuss those, that whether we need to be face-to-face within the classroom, use technology, or we can be at a distance, but at the same point of time, this is what is called synchronous. Right now we are synchronous. This is one way of learning. But people say, and research has proved, that when we attend synchronous, reflect on that, get into our own individualized study, this is called, with the support from the mentor and the teacher, this is called asynchronous learning. So asynchronous is considered to be more effective than synchronous. Synchronous, we clarify, we receive information, and so and we collaborate, we discuss. But then our actual learning takes place when we are asynchronous. We will discuss these. And when online and face-to-face, within synchronous and asynchronous formulation, when they are joined together in different forms, in different percentages, we call that as blended learning. It is written here, blended online learning. So we are into online learning, but we can also blend. We can blend self-study, 3 things we can blend. We can blend self-study, we can blend online discussion, collaboration. Professor Parad said cooperative learning, collaborative learning, and so on and so forth, doing projects together online, individual projects online. This is the second. First, self-study, which is called resource-based learning. Second, which I'm presenting here, is an online collaborative learning. And third, which is very important, is that we must bring in somewhere, sometime, a hands-on experience to put our theory into practice in a pure face-to-face context. So all the three blending together, this is what is called an instructional design in online learning that we'll be discussing. That self-study, online, and face-to-face, all these three judiciously blended. It depends how you would like to blend it, depends on your subject, your situation, and so on and so forth. But we need to judiciously integrate all the three together so that our blended learning today becomes more effective. What you see now, we are getting into online blended learning. In this, we need to consider 4 aspects. That these 4 are essential foundations to initiate your blended learning. What we are doing through our Google Meet or our Zoom or any other such platform, one way or the other, all these 4 are involved in that. But when we go for a full-fledged online blended learning for the whole country, we need to develop a national platform as also institutional platforms. At IGNOU and many places in the world, we have an open source platform called Moodle. In Maldives, you could also consider to establish the national Moodle. I think Moodle 2.0 or something has come up of late. The new Moodle has come up. IGNOU is transforming to the new Moodle. I will show you our example in the old Moodle as a case study later in this presentation to exemplify what I'm discussing. So therefore, 4 things that you need to develop as a system. This doesn't depend on the individual professor. It depends on the institution. It depends on the national platform. We need to select a learning management system. A learning management system will provide us the national and institutional and even international platform within which we will carry forward our teaching learning called blended online learning. And the face-to-face hands-on could be built into our learning management system. Because when you assess face-to-face, that also forms part of the entire assessment rubric, which is part of the learning management system. Second, we need to develop courseware and digital content. So design of courseware and digital content is an important part that we need to do. Individually, you can adopt open education resources, but institutionally and nationally, we need to decide what kind of materials and what kind of copyright permission is needed, copyright clearance is needed, and plagiarism has to be protected. One has to see that it is not plagiarized, and so on and so forth. We need to do, and there are a whole lot of activities and hands-on activities, case studies, portfolios, and so on and so forth that we need to select at the beginning. The third is teaching, learning, and interactivity. So collaboration and interaction is the hallmark of teaching and learning. A simple lecturing is not enough. And finally, whatever is done, it is done finally through formative as well as summative assessment. We need to develop an assessment rubric, a framework within which we have to allocate credits and we have to allocate scores. The different activities will have different scores or grades, and put together, finally, this is the final score or the grade. So that we need to work out. Friends, all these 4 are done technologically. Technology will facilitate us to do all these. And my presentation will be teaching, learning, and pedagogy. For the rest of the 3 days, you will learn more about also technology, how to design resources, and so on and so forth in detail. You will learn all of these. So 4 aspects I repeat: your learning management system. We have selected in our university, in our country, Moodle. And of course, the national platform is based on the MOOCs platform of edX and others. But Moodle, I will prescribe you to go beyond the prescribed propositions or framework, to have your own freedom, that you can do anything, whether it is science, whether it is social science, or literature, language, and so on and so forth. You can do so many things. LMS, your digital content, your interaction and teaching, learning, and engagement in activities, and finally, your formative and summative assessment. All these 4 aspects you need to design. So what are the concept or principles or theories behind all of these which can guide us how to design more effectively? That we will discuss in this program. So when we go for designing online learning, I repeat, we need to design. I'm sure you are taking notes, because this is very important that you can get this PowerPoint, but if you take notes, within that notes, you can also jot down what I'm saying side by side. So therefore, it becomes essential you discuss further institutionally and nationally and develop your system, a very full-fledged system with full flexibility to each individual teacher to adopt that framework the way your discipline or your subject is concerned. First, your learning environment, that you have to, not only the LMS, but also the entire environment within the LMS. I will show a little bit of the LMS and show that what kind of things that we designed in our blended program. Second, teaching learning, the actual teaching learning, which includes 3 aspects. I repeat that: your self-study, your online collaboration, interaction, and your face-to-face hands-on training. All these 3 are part of the teaching learning. Interaction with the teacher, interaction with your digital content, interaction among yourselves. These all are part of and interaction with the technological support, those who will be providing you technological support. interaction with all of them. Assessment, I said formative and summative, and I will show certain examples of how we did it, and you can also consider many other things. And finally, how to transfer the learning that is taking place to the real situation, to real community, real society, and real world of work. These 5 aspects we need to design, friends. So therefore, our first design and development is technology, second is pedagogy, third content, fourth interaction, and finally organization and management, including technology support provided to both teachers as well as students. These 5 aspects, very briefly, we will touch upon. Friends, what you see on your screen, look at very carefully. I'm sure nothing is left out, but if there is anything more research is saying that we need to add, that all these are written there. One way or the other, you need to consider in your teaching learning, whether it is within the classroom and more so outside the classroom and beyond outside the classroom, which is called blended learning, which will combine, I repeat, 3 aspects which you need to design: self-study, online collaboration, and face-to-face hands-on. These 3, if they are designed more effectively, depending on your discipline and subject area, and all that you see on the screen, starting from online digital resources to collaboration, interaction, social networks that you can use, Facebook, and so on and so forth, you can do that. Activities you need to design, there must be some conversation and dialogue. The assessment has to be authentic. I'm just repeating because these I will be discussing. So your assessments and activities need to be authentic. Authentic means they should not be as much as possible hypothetical. They have to be as much as real. It should be situated because it depends on you have to situate your teaching learning within your discipline, with your own concept or chapter that you are teaching. You have to collaborate to negotiate and discuss how knowledge formation is taking place. Professor Parhat talked about reflective, how to reflect, how to do hand-holding, which is called scaffolding, and finally to reach a higher order reflective learning, which is called metacognition. These all are possible one way or the other if we very carefully design and therefore translate that design into our teaching learning, actual teaching learning activities. Now, pedagogic design. When you think about, because I have already talked about LMS, so LMS, you can decide any platform that you are using. Globally, people are using more of Moodle platform, and Moodle had a new platform now. It has become more interactive. And even if you consider the 4 quadrants, the 4 aspects of your teaching learning, that is your digital resources, your video lectures, interactive lectures, additional resources, and your assessment quiz, your assessment rubric. Can you switch off your mic, please? Can you each one, can you switch off your mic? That would be very nice. Thank you. So you have to design 2 things insofar as pedagogy is concerned. One is pedagogy infrastructure. The other one is your teaching learning strategy. Let us proceed a little further about pedagogy. In pedagogic design, you need to consider the technical aspects, the appropriate tools that you are selecting. All these tools, most important tools, will be discussed in the next 3 days. You have to consider them very seriously. You can either adopt them or you can choose your own, but the principles and functions will remain the same. You can use a different tool, but the functional part of it, what they can do for you, you as a teacher and they as students, if it can facilitate, that will be designed by you as the technical part of it. The social part of it, how collaboration, engagement, sharing, and integration of technology will take place, that we need to consider. The epistemological part of it, that how you have to translate the theory, the concept into practice. So therefore, teacher-student and student-student interaction and engagement in activities will translate your theory into practice. There is a Chinese saying, Chinese proverb, the old Confucian proverb. The first line says, I see, I forget, I do, therefore I learn. Don't forget this. I see, I forget. When you see, you forget. You will forget what I'm saying unless you write down. When you write down, you are doing it. So I do, therefore I learn. This is extremely important. This is the crux of the story. So therefore, friends, the epistemological is translating into practice, into actual practice. If I relate to what I said earlier, the practice or activity, collaboration, internship, workshops, engagement, hands-on, all these, if they can be authentic, within quote I'm underlining, if they can be authentic. If you make it more abstract, more theoretical practice, students will learn much less. If you make them authentic, depending on what is available locally, you use the local resources and situations and context and examples and give activities on them, certainly the students will learn more and better. They will learn for life. Finally, cognitive, which is most important, the modeling part of it. This is the instructional design modeling. So which instructional design model that you are adopting? There are so many, tens of them. So you need to consider that. But the theoretical principles I will discuss, whatever instructional design models that you accept, you adopt, theoretical principles you have to consider, they have to be present there. Guidance, how has to be provided, the metacognitive facilitation by the teacher, by you, what kind of facilitation that you can do. So therefore the students go for higher order learning and cognitive scaffolding. Scaffolding means your hand holding, how you will do hand holding with your students, and therefore all the time, because online hand holding is more possible than face-to-face classroom, because you are for some period of time present in the classroom, but in online you are 24/7. Let me proceed a little further, friends. Therefore, to concretize what pedagogic design that you need to bring in, you can negotiate your learning with each individual student if you like. That certain percentage of your teaching learning will be negotiated with the individual student. That would simply mean that each student will be learning very differently from the others. So therefore, you need to guide each student differently than the other student as per the needs and cognitive or learning style of the student. Second, you can also provide lecture, because lecture can be either a video lecture or a lecture right now as it is going on, which is extremely essential. We are not eliminating lecture. And I will show you the example that how we conducted in the Moodle virtual class almost every week. So virtual class is also part of the lecture system. It is an isolated lecture, or in an online class, so many more activities you can do alongside lectures. And therefore, online is much better in terms of lecturing than the classroom lecturing. You will realize, hopefully, after this presentation. Self-directed learning, that you will be facilitating your students to do certain activities that they learn by themselves. The first thing in this is that we need to develop their study skills, that how to learn individually. This is what is called in 21st century skills. This is the most important skill is called learning to learn skill. The skill how to learn. We as teachers and they as students, we all need to learn how to learn. This is an important skill. We think that we know how to learn. That is not enough. We must know how to learn. There are different strategies available. You can Google self-directed learning or learning how to learn. You will get many strategies that you can follow. Collaborative learning, collaboration becomes very important. All these aspects, friends, we need to design. I repeat, we need to categorically design. If you're providing a 10 credit, 15 credit, 20 credit, or so many hours of certificate or diploma course or a program, you need to design each credit or each group of credits called a course in terms of all of these. And you have to bring in what technology will be supporting lecturing, self-directed learning, collaboration, small group work, discussion, to do a project, to do a case study, to a discussion forum, and teachers, mentorship, scaffolding, or teachers facilitation. All these aspects you need to design for each course or each group of credits. And technology, you need to decide what kind of technology will be facilitating all of these. I repeat, we have adopted Moodle because Moodle provides the facilitation, it is provision for all of these. Or you can integrate, for instance, a lecture, you can integrate from outside to the Moodle. You can record your own lecture and integrate into the Moodle. Integration is very important. That's why it is online. Online provides us the opportunity to integrate. So therefore, earlier our teaching learning was either supplementary or complementary insofar technology was concerned. Now, because of online and development of the semantic web, this is called Web 3.0 that is available to you today, and your mobile represents the combination of the convergence of these latest developments in technology, including computing, that is web-based technology. Combination of broadcasting, telecommunication, conferencing, as well as online computing technologies. All three combined together. So friends, let me proceed by simply saying that all these aspects are many more that you can consider, that you need to decide for each course what kind of content will get into what of these aspects. And what is that credit? 1 credit, half a credit, 2 credits, 0.25 credits. What is a credit? For us, credit is how much time students put in, how many hours the student put in to study that, or to do that activity, or to do a collaborative exercise, or to interact and discuss among each other, or to do an assessment exercise. So all these need to be accounted for. This is what is called a design. What is after all instructional design? Design is that you are accounting for all of these in black and white. You have to put them up before your teaching learning starts. Let me proceed further. Now, let us translate that pedagogy into practice. One theoretical development which tells us, this is what is called a cognitivist behaviorist formulation. Behaviorism will say that we need to learn, somebody has to teach, you need to give a test to test whether somebody has learned or not. If you are not learning, you repeat that and provide varieties of multiple media opportunities so that one learns better. Cognitivist will say that it is not only that, but also that so many things within a human being, including perception, including reasoning, including motivation, including attitude, including interest, and so on and so forth, which is inside. So therefore, we need to address all these traits, human traits that are inside, which are not visible outside. So cognitivism goes beyond behaviorism to see, to address, and therefore they talk about inquiry-based learning, problem solving, discovery learning, and so on and so forth. We will touch upon a little bit of each one of these. So this is teacher guided. There are structured learning pathways, and this is what is called outcome-based assessment. This is what is called outcome-based learning. So whether behaviorism, cognitivism, or any other good or bad, there is nothing good, friends, nothing bad. You have to judiciously combine all of these, whatever best suits you or your discipline or your topic of teaching. So I repeat, teacher guidance is needed. It must be structured, and therefore outcome-based learning has to be designed. How? We will proceed a little later. Multiple media have to be brought in, multiple media in an integrated fashion. Earlier, print, audio, video, graphics, animation, data, all were isolated from each other, including teacher and teacher's lecture. They were isolated from each other, and they were combining together in a basket. In an online, they will not combine in a basket. They will gel, integrate, juxtapose among themselves. So integration is very important. And finally, these theories tell us that learning style, learning analytics, and data mining, which hopefully you will learn in these 3 days, these are very important these days. This last that you see, this last is nothing but individualized learning. That what is the ability, style, and predisposition or characteristics of each individual student, and therefore how technology can help us to orient our teaching learning, especially our teaching, to address individual students' learning style, characteristics, motivation, interest, ability, competency, and so on and so forth. Is it all right, friends? So this theory is giving us these many ideas briefly. Let me go to the second theory called constructivist. Constructivist would simply say that twins are not the same. There are individual differences, and each individual has the ability to learn. Everybody has the ability to learn. What is important is that we need to design our teaching learning in such a way that we facilitate each one's ability to learn. This is very difficult, and this is most important of all. So there are individual differences of perception and learning. You learn the way you perceive. I learn the way I perceive. You learn for yourself. You don't learn for me. I learn for myself. I don't learn for you. But we need to collaborate and discuss, because discussion is very important to develop so many abilities and clarification in our own cognitive structure, in our own mind. And therefore, individual difference need to be respected, individual potentiality for one's own meaning. Right now, each one, 562 of you, might be deriving different meaning from what I'm presenting, because that meaning is determined by your previous experience, your understanding, your previous understanding. So therefore, is it right or wrong? There is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. Your meaning, each one of you, your meaning is extremely essential. What needs to be done is that we need to address your meaning and therefore bring that up. So therefore, how is it possible that you can provide for self-study and provide individual guidance? You study differently, I study differently. If our same teacher, one teacher, can facilitate your teaching the way you learn and facilitate my learning the way I learn, that is what is needed. And then this is also possible when we provide activities. In activities, it should not be one activity. It can be different types of activities given to different kinds of students, depending on their choice. This is what is needed. And a community of practice, because we need to discuss and collaborate. We will discuss that in online discussion forum, which is more asynchronous than what happens within the classroom, which is synchronous. Synchronous is needed. What I'm simply saying is our research finally tells us that asynchronous contributes to quality of learning more than the synchronous learning. We need to bring in social technologies and social networks. These you will learn in the next 2-3 days, including your Facebook, Twitter, many others that you can bring in to connect to your teaching learning. It is possible. It is not that difficult. We will discuss two important aspects: blogs, which is an individual thinking and reflection, and wiki, which is a collaborative thinking and reflection. Any tool that is available for individual reflection and for group and collaborative reflection is welcome. It could be blog, it could be wiki, it could be anything else. So friends, we are discussing two things which need to seriously consider: synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous, real time, that is going on right now. Asynchronous, for instance, you are sending an email, giving a chance for students to think over and then respond. We will discuss in online when there is a discussion forum. You throw a question, Students go on thinking and responding. You go on responding to their thinking, their responses. That's how it goes on for a week, for instance. That provides better quality learning than what is happening right now in the conferencing synchronous. There are two important theorists. You Google them, you will learn about them. John Dewey, almost in 1920s, John Dewey wrote the book Democracy and Education. You download, these are free of cost to download these days because there is no copyright these days on these books. 1916, when he wrote the book Democracy and Education, the first time constructivism came to the forefront. What is simply proposed is that active participation is very important, and therefore activity-based theories came up. Theories which teach and learn through activities, engaging through hands-on activities, experimenting and experiencing directly with the environment. This is what is called authentic. I'm just relating to. So therefore, as simple as possible, I'm presenting. So therefore, these theories should not baffle us. So what John Dewey said, whatever we do in teaching learning, if that is related to your environment that you are there, this is what is called cognitive situated cognition. That your cognition, your mental structure is situated in your country, in your situation, in your village, in your building, in your community and society. That needs to be considered. There is nothing good or bad. So therefore, relating to your experimentation and hands-on and activity to environment, this is what is called authentic activity. And if you assess that through an authentic assessment, a real assessment, that is what is important. So therefore, friends, problem-based learning and project-based learning. Please write down these two things. Problem-based learning, learning based on a problem, individual as well as group or collaborative. Project-based learning, it can be individual as well as collaborative. Vygotsky, who is a Russian, his book got translated in 1960s into English. Then people came to know before John Dewey or when John Dewey in USA was talking about, there is a more serious educator in Russia called Les Vygotsky, who is considered not only a constructivist, he is considered as a social constructivist because he talked about social constructivism, that whatever we teach and learn, that must be based on in our own context. If it is abstract, we will not learn or learn very less. If it is concretized based on our society, social dynamics, social politics, social and so on and so forth, values, interest, attitude, that will make more sense. Because if you isolate your teaching learning from politics, from society, from social context, teaching learning becomes very dull. It becomes less qualitative. Teaching learning must be related to the community and society. Then it will have meaning because it will train your students to transfer learning to the community more easily and become good citizens, capable citizens in the future. Otherwise, a gold medalist in the school or college is the most inefficient person in the society and community. Why? Because our teaching learning was not related society and community and context. So therefore, he talked about a journal of proximal development. That would simply mean that the senior mentors would be facilitating, hand-holding the junior mentors or the students. The novices will be facilitated by the senior experts, and there are processes to do this. This is called Journal of Proximal Development. If you Google this, you get free of cost that how to do this. There are different steps how to go about it. This is a pure activity-based learning to learn the skills within the community. And scaffolding for him was very important. This is what is called mentoring, that the teacher is beyond a teacher. The teacher is now a mentor. This teacher will do hand-holding. There's so many things to discuss. So therefore, if you consider these two theories, what it tells us very quickly, that if you are following behaviorism, that you believe more about instruction. If you believe in constructivism, this will believe in construction. What does it mean? That here you make it abstract and here you make it concrete to the context, to the community, to the society. Here you talk about master learning, 90 out of 100. 90%, you see, the old program learning told us 90% of the students must understand 90% of the content. My goodness, then they'll be pass, otherwise fail. Constructivism says, my friend, there is no pass and fail, that we need to experience. You need to experience your own way. I need to experience in my own way. Everything is fine as long as God is in the heaven. Don't worry, be happy. That's what constructivism will say. Simple terms. Keep it simple. Make it simple. Teaching learning is very simple. Don't make it complex. How to make it simple? That whatever you teach, put them into tasks to experience. In US, when I was a Fulbright scholar, I was teaching a semester, 2.5 hours class. I started giving a lecture. After 10 minutes, a senior citizen got up, said, Prof, what you are doing is not acceptable to us. All these are plenty available. These are called open education resources today. So therefore, do something that we experience that. He told me very categorically, Prof, you have the right to teach, provided that content, provided you have either done yourself or you know how to do. If you don't open your mouth. This precisely what I mean, friends. It doesn't make sense. Huh? So behaviorist will say, make it high structure. Everybody one structure. Constructivism will say, hang on, my friend. Even twins learn very differently. So therefore, let us give different kinds of content, different activities, different tests to different students, but ensure that they are equivalent. Different tests are equivalent because they are difficulty level and they have to be equivalent statistically. So in question banking, if you develop a question bank, 1,000 questions, you give 100 questions to one group of students, another 100 to another, another 100 to another, all are equivalent. So these are 3 tests. Nobody can go to the court. They will say these are 3 different question papers. So what? They can be 100 different question papers. No problem, provided they are equivalent statistically. In this case, there is behaviorism, there is no control for the student. Here, you provide all the control that the students can handle their teaching and learning. So therefore, in classroom, students can hardly handle their teaching learning. In online, they can 100% handle, they have their control over teaching learning. Friends, here you are an instructor, there you are a facilitator. Here you consider less individual differences, there it is based on high individual differences. Therefore, friends, let me go to the final one. This is what you are discussing these days. They say digital learning, digital resources. And this program is also digital pedagogy. This is what is called digital. This guy, Professor Josh Siemens, in 2008 gave this theory called Connectivism. This is written on your screen, but I will explain what I have read and what I have learned from Professor Siemens. We were together in Istanbul in Turkey giving a keynote together. He was also there, and I got a chance to spend some time with him. His theory is very complex. If you read it, just 7-8 pages only. This is what is called a theory for digital learning, connectivism. What it says, simply, that is written on your screen. This is his original PowerPoint when he first presented in 2008 about his theory. He says that knowledge is not with the teacher, with the textbook and here and there. Knowledge is everywhere. And today, in terms of technological developments, knowledge is networked and it is distributed. It is networked. So therefore, to teach and learn, you need to connect with the network. This is the first thing. It is distributed, and therefore you have to, aapko jugaad karna, you have to catch hold of knowledge, make that authentic and meaningful, and provide to your students. This is what open education resources are doing these days. They are supposed to be authentic. They are collated by experts, free of cost for you to teach and learn. This is called open education resources. Sometimes the MOOCs are also doing the same thing. The second point he says that the experience of learning is one of forming new neural conceptual within the network. What is learning for him? That in the network, that information is available when you interact yourself with peers, with the help of teachers, that you are forming new conceptual experience. This conceptual experience need to be related to that networked learning, which is just like a sea. The whole information network in information society is like a sea. Information is available like Maldives Sea. Maldives is surrounded by sea. Maldives is surrounded by information networks. Whole world is surrounded by information. So therefore, your learning is meaningful, provided if you can connect to that little information, which is authentic, which is provided either by the teacher or by open education resources, which is authentic, and you can connect and make meaning. Three, he says, two things. The first, he brought in the network theory. You Google network theory, you will learn about it. Network theory is an established theory today. Then he brought in the theory of chaos. What the chaos says? He says information is available in network, not here and there. It is available in networks today. But the information that is available is extremely chaotic. You understand chaos, isn't it? When there is a disturbance, when there is a trade union meeting or whatever, there is indiscipline. There is indiscipline. It is not disciplined, systematic. It is chaotic. It is available. It is spread out, and so on and so forth. Not only that, the most difficult thing is, friends, remember what he says. When you get into this, you will experience. The most difficult thing is that it is changing space. The information is changing space. Today it was here, tomorrow it is there, tomorrow it is a different color, tomorrow it is a different color, tomorrow it is a different shape. So what to do? So you need authentication of that. So finally, technology, he says, technology can facilitate this. Of course, the teacher can do. You can do as students for yourself, but technology will do more. What the technology will do, he says, that friends, teachers and students, we need to develop one important ability, a competency. What is that ability? The ability to effectively connect to the network, navigate through the whole information which is chaotic and shifting here and there, and then make sense of your learning, come out successfully after experiencing learning and apply in your context. Very simple. It's not that simple to design that, but very simple. We need to develop ability. Now the question comes that as teachers and students, we need to develop digital ability. Digital ability to connect to network, to search for resources, to make meaning in them authentic, to relate to your own learning, which is chaotic and shifting its space here and there. But technology, you have to choose technology in such a way that technology can facilitate you and can make it simple for you. Friends, if you have to apply that connectivism to your context, what the connectivism will tell you? What is the pedagogy? The pedagogy is social learning, that there are different nodes available. There are, besides your teacher, you can learn from many other sources. What are these sources? They are not dead sources, they're lively sources. You can connect to them, you can interact with them, and so on and so forth. And these are distributed. So therefore, we need to make good selection of that. Learning is basically social. Even if you learn for yourself, I learn for myself, but learning is a social learning because learning takes place in context. Learning is not isolated from context. If it is isolated from context, it becomes abstract. Abstract learning has no meaning. You will remember and reproduce, strategically reproduce, you cannot apply. So therefore to apply where? Apply in your context. So therefore context and community, society becomes very important. Second, you have to navigate through your network. Third, you have to connect at the right time, at the right space, with the right facilitation. Right time, right space means right network, and right mentoring by your teacher. If it is perfectly right, the learning becomes authentic and rich and qualitative. Therefore, friends, what you see on your screen, you will study this PowerPoint later, which will be sent to you, which is made available. You can download. You see, all these theories that we talked about, behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and connectivism. After George Seaman, who gave you connectivism, there is one guy who believes in open learning, open source, open education resource, open pedagogy. Both George Seaman of Connectivism, as well as you write down another name, you get free of cost everything from him, Professor Stephen Downes, Downes. These two guys, George Seaman and Stephen Downes, they started the first MOOC in the world. I repeat, they started the first MOOC, massive open online course in the world. They called it CMOOC, Connectivist MOOC. The MOOC that is available today that you are studying from Harvard, from Stanford, from edX, from Coursera, from SOEM platform in India, and so on and so forth, this is called XMOOCs. XMOOCs is more structured, CMOOCs is less structured. This is more constructivist, and XMOOC is more behaviorist and cognitivist that you have learned, friends. So therefore, you can combine both of them. What is good, what is bad? There is nothing good, nothing bad in this world. Everything is fine, as long as God is in the heaven. So therefore, all of these, there are fundamental questions. These are bold in the left-hand side. How learning takes place? What is learning? What factors influence learning? What is the role of memory? How does transfer of learning takes place? And how learning can be facilitated, and how this can be related to theory. Practice can be related to theory. All these theories, these four, they have given you different kinds of interpretations that you need to do. If you consider this one PowerPoint and integrate into your teaching learning face-to-face, distance, or online, or blended learning, blended combination of, I repeat, self-study, online, and face-to-face hands-on. If you translate only this PowerPoint into action, you are the king, you are the best in the world, by the way. To do this, this is what is called instructional design. We need to design. Okay, friends, let me proceed. Now the question comes, once you selected your theoretical principles, how to design your digital resources. Either you are developing or somebody is developing and throwing it free. This is called open education resources, OER. How to design that? I have brought in these 4 points for you to consider. There are many. I have brought in these 4. If you write down and if you consider to design that properly, your course based on credits, students learning hours, if you can design properly, your teaching learning will be very qualitative. If you can develop a concept map that how all the concepts that you are going to teach, how they are related to each other. Can you draw a map? Can you connect them and tell your students how they are connected, and so on and so forth? This is essential. This will help. Learning objectives, content structure, this is what is called outcome-based learning today. And SEMCA, Commonwealth of Learning, they are stressing, and the whole world is doing. Our University Grants Commission in India has now made regulation compulsory that your teaching learning under choice-based credit system has to be compulsorily outcome-based learning. That we will discuss a little bit. That if you can provide open resources and provide links to them, it will be very essential. This needs to be designed. And finally, you need to design your activities. Activities in terms of hands-on, assignments, internship, workshops, collaboration, online collaborative projects, individual reflection on a given project. We need to do that. So this is how you will be designing a content. Let us first go to concept map, go to outcome-based learning, go to this, then go to activities. Now, your outcome-based learning. This is Bloom's taxonomy, as Professor Parhar was telling. And instead of evaluation, this is called now creativity, the final form. What do you need to do? You need to tell yourself as teachers, tell your students also, that whether you are teaching at the information level or understanding level, or they need to apply, or they need to analyze an application given by you, a case study you are giving, they need to analyze, or you are giving 3 case studies, you say that you find commonalities and differences. This is what is called synthesis. Or finally, you say that you make a judgment, you create your own. Finally, you create your own. Creation is the metacognitive highest order learning. So friends, when you do that, you can say that students will be able to, sorry, can you switch off your mic, please? So you can tell your students that whether after I teach you or you study or you collaborate, whether you will be able to define or describe or identify or reproduce or state and so on. If you go to understanding level, you say that you will be able to calculate, you have to explain, you have to estimate. Go to application level, you have to demonstrate, you have to solve a problem, you have to illustrate, you have to discover. Go to analysis level, you say you distinguish between these two. You point out the similarities and differences. You relate to another situation. You outline the frameworks of what is said. You know, when you synthesize, you categorize, you design, you plan, you formulate, you generate, and when you go to creativity level, that you appraise, you summarize, you justify, critically appreciate, you recommend, you make an assessment. Are you getting my point? So whatever you are teaching, the first task is that you convert that into your concept mapping and your learning outcomes. This is the beginning of the story. Based on that, you will proceed to the next step, what is called how you will be doing teaching learning, how to develop resources. 3 things, friends, in teaching learning. I repeat it, blended learning, always. Resources, digital resources, basically for self-study. Activities, especially for collaboration and projects and so on and so forth, discussion. And finally, activities in terms of face-to-face hands-on activities. All these 3, your technology will support within the learning platform, in our case called Moodle, which will facilitate you to apply all of these. This is a concept map. The whole idea, Professor Novak, when he gave the idea of concept map, he developed a concept map to tell what is a concept map. So this is a concept map on the concept called concept map. So concept map, sorry, here it is written concept map. So the concept map is divided into broad concepts. Each broad concept is divided into smaller concepts, then into smaller finally. But what is important is that they are relationship. Are you able to read it? This indicates this relates to this converts into this comprises of this gets divided into this leads to that, this begins with that. Are you getting it? So this shows that, this means that this is in between these two, all these. So verbs are used to relate to each other. What is a concept map? Concept map is the division of your paper or chapter that you are teaching into broad and minor concepts relating to each other. If you do these, your teaching learning will follow these. Your activities that we will design will be based on these. Your learning outcomes will be determined by these. And the whole thing of your digital OER, your assessment strategy, all will be determined by this. Are you getting my point, friends? Try out once. This is how it is done, and this is more scientific way of doing that. This is a concept map, 3 ways that you can do to, this is the one way of doing it, second way of doing it, and the third way of doing it. Doing what? You are teaching a topic called universe and earth. How you will teach? On your screen, there are 3 different ways how it can be taught by you. This one proceeds from the functional aspect, the light year. This one proceeds from abstract to the concrete. Abstract is universe, and it proceeds to the concrete, that is called earth. The third one starts from concrete, that is called earth, goes to the final theorem, how the earth was created, how the universe was created. So from simple to complex, from known to unknown, and from concrete to abstract. These are 3 different ways. There can be many different ways, friends. What I'm simply giving this example to tell you that the same topic can be taught by 10 teachers in 10 different ways. But can you jot down how you would like to teach? This is how I would like to teach. He will say, no, I would like to teach in the second way. The other teacher will say, come on, don't stop me. I would like to teach. Teacher has all the freedom. Don't take away that freedom from the teacher. So teacher has all the freedom, even if you have provided technology, resources, everything. Teacher is the boss. So therefore, teacher will decide. This concept mapping of the content that you are going to teach in 1 hour, 2 hours, 10 hours in 1 week in a semester, they need to be mapped. They need to be structured. And you will follow that structure. In one topic, you have followed this structure. In another topic, you will follow that. In another, if the topic demands, you will follow another. Are you getting me, friends? So therefore, your learning outcomes and concept mapping is very important. Let me get into...
Professor Panda, just a second. We have left with maybe 20 minutes more, please.
Oh, 10, 20 minutes only.
20, yeah, 20, 15.
I have just started. I have just started. But let me finish. Let me finish in 15 minutes, friends. So when, besides your resources that you are developing, how you will ensure that you are present there, you as a teacher, in self-learning, in online, and in face-to-face hands-on. All the 3, how you will ensure, you need to design them. All from the PowerPoint you will know. You have to design interaction. You have to design when they do their self-study, how to they regulate themselves. What is self-regulation? That you will facilitate them, how students will use their own ability to learn for themselves. You are only facilitating. This is what is called self-regulation. We need to do that. You need to provide motivation, and you need to help in collaboration. All these you need to design. I'm just giving a brief because I have to rush through. So your teacher presents, what he will do, this, what is the instructional design of it? You have to do curriculum design, methods and media, learning goals, learning design, then activities, and so on and so forth. In case of direct instruction, you have to do presentation, focused discussion, reflection, technical concerns. In terms of facilitation discourse, you can go for agreement, disagreement, creative, conducive climate, and so on and so forth. This is more of constructivism. This is more of behaviorism. Let me go a little further. How to design your interaction? Friends, you need to design your interaction. How? Through discussion forum, which is part of the online LMS learning management system. It can also be a second life, which is called a 3D environment. You can do synchronous and asynchronous. I'm emphasizing more of asynchronous. You can also bring in informal interaction through what is called a Google Groups. If there are alternatives available, you can go for that. But these need to be designed, integrated into your teaching learning. So friends, there can be 4 different ways of synchronous and asynchronous. Professor Som Naidu published this book at SEMCA, and I have borrowed from my friend Som Naidu. So this is self-paced online, self-paced offline, group synchronous, and group asynchronous. All these 4 you can do. You can learn more. You can download the SEMCA book on designing online learning, and you can learn from that. Let me go a little more further. Friends, besides so many things that you will read, I will show a little example for 5 minutes towards the end. That I will request you that if you want, your students will do more of reflection of their own learning, you can ensure build in blogs into your teaching learning. Blog is an individual idea and collective opinion on that, but idea is individual. If you bring in wiki or any such platform, which is collective idea and collective reflection. So therefore, friends, I will insist that you bring in these 2 to personal choice and community, as group, as individual. Therefore, as teachers, we need to develop these abilities. Content knowledge, knowledge about the students, and knowledge about how learning takes place. So learning and content are very different from each other. You have knowledge about content, but we need to, this is what is called pedagogy. That when you combine content knowledge, student knowledge, and learning how to teach and learn, you are actually doing instructional design. If I go a step further, friends, earlier they told us, friends, you are teacher, you are taking salary, you must have content mastery. Okay, sir. Okay, madam, we have content mastery. No. You have also to learn how to teach your content. Pedagogy now comes into picture. They say, friends, now it is technology. So therefore, you also have to learn. That's what you are learning in these next 3 days as preliminary. That we need to learn what technology to use for what pedagogy to teach that content. Are you getting my point? This is what is called technological pedagogy content knowledge, TPAC, TPACK. You Google it, you study on this more. So friends, I give you 5 minutes an example of what I said. Is it all right, Professor Parhar? Next 5 minutes?
That should be okay.
Next 5 minutes. So next 5 minutes is an advertisement which comes frequently in Indian television. Keep it simple, stupid. I will next 5 minutes keep it simple. But friends, to be simple is the most difficult thing in the world. I repeat, to be simple is the most difficult thing in the world. But your instructional design, keep it simple, my friend. Assalamu alaikum, keep it simple. Keep it simple. I repeat, and what I'm going to present is not that simple, but I will present in a very simple way so that you can keep it simple also. Friends, I'm just giving you one example of our postgraduate diploma on online learning. Very quickly, next 5 minutes, how we did it. Whatever principles that I have presented to you, how we did it. Myself and Dr. Maithili, who will be joining you next 2 days, I understand. We both, and Dr. Misra, now in Commonwealth of Learning, he developed it and we took it up. And now I will make 5 minutes intervention that how we did it. This is an online learning program to learn what? To learn e-learning. What we did, I repeat, what we did, self-study, online collaboration, and face-to-face hands-on. These 3 we combine together in a very simplistic way to make learning most meaningful. That's what I'm going to show you. And I stand by what I'm saying, okay? These 3 things we blended, friends. We brought in web network. We brought in open education resources and activities, and we combined that with our physical hands-on activities. This is our design. When you say, what is instructional design for our online learning? Here is an example in front of you. These boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 3 boxes are 3 different strategies which have been blended together for different tasks within this postgraduate diploma program. This is a pure online but blended program. We provided open education resources for self-study with copyright clearance and time-to-time mentoring support from the mentors. There were online classes in the learning management system module, the online digital lectures, discussion forum interaction. There were assignments, formative evaluation, and finally summative. There was an informal interaction through Google Groups, but that informal interaction was official because the interaction was also to be scored, was to be assessed and evaluated by us. Fourth, there is a weekly interaction presentation through Adobe Connect that we did. This is what is called a virtual class. Fifth, there is a compulsory hands-on experiment, hands-on activity for 2 weeks to learn the technological aspects of open source technologies. And finally, there were also a lot of reflective activities through e-portfolios, projects, presentations, and everything formative was presented online and summative was presented online. I will just touch upon one PowerPoint each and finish my presentation to show as an example how this happened. You couldn't do it very differently, but what I'm simply saying is whatever you are doing, keep in mind that you know what exactly you are doing. There is a theory behind it. You know the principles that you are applying, but keep it simple as possible. So friends, let me proceed to give example. What we said, that after your students come out, pass the program, that they must have developed the learning outcomes that you have specified, point number 1. 2, that they must be fully able to apply what they have learned. 3, that they must be masters of their self-study, that they must take control of their self-study, not only in this program, but also in their future life. Next, we used open education resources 100%. We said that if you are using for free, we must contribute for free. So whatever online, so what the project was in this program, that we provided each student a Moodle platform that they will design, develop, run that program and evaluate that online program, agriculture, rural development, teaching and learning, and industry. There were students from Microsoft, they were from Adobe and so on. Whatever school teaching or whatever they wanted to learn, that whatever we will develop, we will contribute that as free also. But friends, one caution, which we considered, that when we adopt open education resources, we considered all these. What are these? Make it simple, make it more conversational and engaging. There should be multiple perspectives, not only one view, multiple views there. It must be culture sensitive and gender sensitive, and there must be hands-on. It should not be only theory, and we must take precaution against plagiarism. This is very important. Plagiarism is a crime. Let me proceed further, friends. We combined two. These are two established theories in the world, either independent study, self-study, or interaction. How to combine these two, independent study and interaction? These are written on your screen. We considered them in our design, and we used them in our design. This is the kind of weekly reading materials we were providing, friends. This is the Moodle platform. We were providing that. We provided a schedule for the whole year, and the schedule is divided weekly. There are weekly schedules. So what does it include in the week? On the screen, you see self-learning materials, activities, discussion forums to interact, some formative evaluation. I will show an example of each one of them. Some formative evaluation, and finally, the summative evaluation is the presentation of their project. What is their project? Design, development, delivery, and evaluation of an online Moodle program themselves. They will make a presentation very quickly. Next 2 minutes, friends. Next 2 minutes.
Yeah, Professor
So-
Pandas, we should have 5 minutes for question answer also.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
So next 2 minutes, there is video interaction. This is going on. My face is visible to you. I'm presenting. You will not say that it is not authentic. This is authentic. Next time Maithili will come. Chart is going on. The sample is in front of you. This is interactivity, group work, Google group, discussion forum. You know that what I'm saying. All the principles that I discussed, they are presented here in the form. So here is a virtual class going on. Here is a presentation, direct presentation through whiteboard. They call it smart board. I don't know how smart the board is, but there's a smart board. Smart board, Dr. Maithili is presenting. She will make presentation also in your next sessions. And these are materials, these are discussion forum. These are samples only. So here is a student record. This is what is called data mining. The system provides you the data mining, you see. Here is a formative evaluation that the student is presenting. Myself and Dr. Maithili, we are scoring the presentation of the student. They are making online presentation, okay. Here is type of interaction, learner technology interaction, friends. Don't forget, learner technology interaction, you have to design and take care of, otherwise your teaching will go west. Learner content interaction, you have to design. Learner instructor interaction and learner interaction. 1 or 2 examples, then I will stop. Final assessment strategy that we had. What you do in your own classroom in Maldives, what we do in India. Now the University Grants Commission in India says that you have to do so many, but we were doing so many. Computer marked assignment, tutor marked assignment, discussion forum, their interaction we evaluated, interaction in the community we interacted, including Google groups, face-to-face audio video they did in their blog and wiki. We used blog as well as wiki, that they need to develop also audio video themselves, that you will also develop in this program. Their online presentation we evaluated, their group projects, e-portfolio we evaluated finally, friends. All these were part of the assessment, but assessment was authentic. Authentic in the sense they were related directly to the activity that they have carried out for the whole year. My final 1 or 2 PowerPoints, friends. Here is what is called an online presentation. Dr. Maithili is doing that. And finally, here is Professor Uma Kanjilal, our online director, is taking the final examination. This is the fear behind the project course. They are making a presentation. Everything was done online. All tests was done online. And final, our strategy. This is my first PowerPoint that I started, my friends. I'm concluding with the same PowerPoint relating to what we did in this program. Direct interaction, what we did. Learner interaction, what we did. Authentic tasks, what we did. Learning nuances of open source, what we did. Reflection on practice, what we did. Self-regulation through e-portfolio, etc., what we did. And online 24 by technology support. Though it was online, there were a lot of problems because of not human problem, but technology problem. So finally, friends, thank you very much, and thank me that I made a presentation to you. And I'm extremely glad to interact with you anything. But this is my dead website, because they say website is no more applicable these days. It has to be interactive. So I'm trying to develop my interactive website. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Panda. I know this was a very interesting session, rather a very important, because instructional design is an important area. Unless and until we don't understand the science of how to design the instruction, we will not go systematically. So this is a very interesting session. I know we need to have more time, but we will be following it up with more such training programs, capacity building programs. We'll have small number of teachers, and we will do a hands-on experience to this. Now, another 5 minutes and we will wind up. Any questions you have for Professor Panda? Any one of you raise your hand, or just and Dr. Manas will give the right. So let us know. Any questions from you?
Just you please unmute your mic and you can ask the question.
Yes, everyone is saying on the chat that this was very informative. Yes, it was very informative. As teachers, maybe we all know, but this is very additional points what Professor Panda has said and related it to the online education. Any questions, friends? Till end, we have 534 teachers with us. That itself shows the involvement, engagement of each one of you in during this session. Tomorrow, we will be having Dr. Maitli, who will be telling us, explaining us Google Classroom, the G Suite tools. All of you are working. So any questions now?
So friends, at the
Yeah,
end,
please,
thank
please,
you very
Ahmed.
much.
Ahmed, please. Ahmed, ask your question. Unmute your mic and ask your question, Mr. Ahmed.
If there are no questions, then we wind up. Is Mr. Hussain there? Mr. Hussain Ahmed?
Yes, madam, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, from our side, because there are no questions till now, from our side, we thank each one of you, especially I thank Professor Panda for her presentation. And I thank each one of you to have come and joined this session. Yes, this was, again, I repeat that this was a session where a little bit of science behind how to design, develop online programs and how to design the instruction in online learning was very, very important for each one of us to learn. Again, I say time was less. We need, usually when we do it, it is almost a day when we spend it on this aspect. From tomorrow, we will be doing the Google Classroom, learn the Google Classroom and the G Suite tools. And then we will do the Canvas also. With this, I thank each one of you and over to Mr. Hussain.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I think it's time for us to wind up, and we will be starting tomorrow also at 12 Maldives time, right?
Right.
Okay, so thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Just one housekeeping announcement. The same link through which you joined today, so the same link will remain for tomorrow and day after tomorrow. And please use the same link to join. No need to further going further registration, but you have already received your link in your respective email ID. So please use the same link to join tomorrow's proceeding. And another one is, there are two WhatsApp group I have seen, and almost all 500 people have been joined. And please put your query and questions and concerns, which can be our resource persons and our team will be assist you for better understanding. Thank you very much from my side.
So you said you are in 2 groups or 4 groups?
I think in 2 group only I added into.
Oh,
if
so
it is 4 group, then another rest of the 2 group kindly add me so that I can add my resource persons.
Okay, there are 4 groups. Okay, there are 4 groups. Which 2 groups are there? Group 1, 2, 3, 4 we have?
And yeah, let me just let you know.
You can tell me that later, then I'll add
Yeah.
you to other groups. Okay.
Training 2 and another one is the training 1.
1, 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll add
These two.
you to other groups.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
then
if
friends, bye-bye then.
I will add our resource persons.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. See you, and we will meet tomorrow 12 in Maldives time. Thank you very much for joining with us. Bye bye.
Bye.